Hello dear viewers, welcome to this edition of the News in English on Rwanda Television. My name is Serish Nhori. We'll begin with the headlines. President Paul Kagame has received officials from the Afreximbank and FIDA. The plenary sitting of Rwanda's Senate has passed a law approving the ratification of the agreement between the government of the Republic of Rwanda and the government of the United Kingdom and of Great Britain and Northern Ireland for the provision of an asylum partnership to strengthen shared international commitments on the protection of refugees and migrants. Now the details. On Thursday afternoon at Village Rugwiro, President Paul Kagame received the President and Chairman of Afreximbank, Professor Benedict Ochekuchu Orama, and the Chairperson of the Board of Directors of the Fund for Export Development in Africa, Marlene Gonyi Videa, as well as two board members of FIDA, Lady Rosa Whitaker and Dr. Sidi Ta. The meeting follows the launch of FIDA's headquarters in Kigali. The fund seeks to fill the gap of inequity financing on the African continent and will provide key impact investment to support private sector growth across Africa and ensure citizens benefit from the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, as we just noted in the headlines, the plenary sitting of the Senate has passed the law approving the ratification of the agreement between the government of the Republic of Rwanda and the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland for the provision of an asylum partnership to strengthen shared international commitments on the protection of refugees and migrants, signed at Kigali on the 5th of December last year. The promulgation is the next step. Moving on, in the last 4 years, the youth unemployment rate was between 20 and 26%. The World Data Lab estimates that Rwanda will have an increase of 800,000 young people between 2021 and 2030, hence set to benefit from rising opportunities in the construction, technology and industry sectors. Prince Manzi with the details.
The development of industry, construction and technology in Rwanda is an opportunity for a large number of young people who are usually at risk of unemployment. Before, I did not have the capacity for starting constructing my house, but now I have a plot of land and now I am building my house. Telephones and related equips provide for me the income. I am able to pay the school fees for my children. I am able to support my family and parents. Technology is really beneficial. The National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda demonstrates that the industrial sector grew by 10%, whereas the service and technology sectors grew by 35% on the GDP in 2023. The CEO of the World Data Lab, Dr. Wolfgang Fengler, demonstrates that Rwanda will have 800,000 more young people between 2021 and 2030, has to benefit from the rising opportunities in the construction, industry and technology sectors.
Rwanda is growing, it will grow. There's more urban areas, there's also more housing in rural areas. Second, Rwanda has a dynamic young labor force, and Asia is becoming too expensive, so manufacturing is an opportunity. And the third is digital. Why? The rest of the world is running out of young people. Rwanda and East Africa has a lot of young people if they are connected and can work. And that doesn't have to be a software engineer. You can also be just an influencer. Then you can make money. But you need to be connected. You need to know how to manage your cell phone and beyond.
The National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda demonstrates that the unemployment rate in youth in the last 4 years was between 20 and 26%, from 15% and 18%. Anita Wanziga, an entrepreneur, reiterates that 70% of our employees are youth and perform well. In my companies, I have more than 100 employees, and like 70% are the youth. Youth and women in my companies perform well, and that is why I urge my fellow entrepreneurs to give a chance to the young people. Amos Fitundinda, the acting head of strategic capacity development at the Rwanda Development Board, said some of the challenges faced by young people in employment and entrepreneurship. Not having technical skills, this affects their way of gaining work fast. Another thing is not having degrees. Job requirements include having skills, but also having educational qualifications. There are also other challenges, including that the work is on a low rate compared to the unemployed. By 2023, out of every 10 youth, 2 of them are from Africa, and between 2021 and 2030, the continent will have the most youth, as it will have 130 million youth.
Thank you, Prince. Now, the Central Bank of Rwanda affirms that the revised transport fares are not expected to significantly impact inflation. Governor John Rwangonga reiterated this during the presentation of the Monetary Policy and Financial Stability Statement. Adams Kwizera with more.
It's been a week since the government of Rwanda announced changes in transport fares countrywide, following the removal of the government subsidies in the transport sector. Some local residents across the country have expressed their concerns about these changes, that they may lead to price increases at the market.
Imagine if you purchase commodities at a certain price and then you top up the transport fees, which are high. This will absolutely lead you to increase the commodity price that might be heavy to the residents.
This is going to make sellers increase the commodity prices because it's understandable that it costs them a lot in paying transportation of their purchased goods. This will lead to a loss on both sides.
From the beginning of 2022,
the chief economist at the Central Bank of Rwanda, Thierry Kalisa, emphasized that these changes are not expected to have a significant impact on the rise of inflation.
A period where inflation is much lower than it was last year and the year before. Therefore, we have less pressures coming from other normally sources of inflation, including food prices that are now stable. So with these projections that we have in terms of normalization of agriculture, if this materializes and if the geopolitical tensions and other global shocks do not materialize, inflation is supposed to be low this year. So that will compensate this revision of public transport fares. We do not see any major impact on the overall inflation projections that were given around 5% for the moment. But of course, every month we'll have inflation numbers and we'll continue monitoring and revising projection if needed.
The Central Bank of Rwanda announced the full automation of 416 Umurenge savings and credit cooperatives, SACCOs, across the country by June this year. Speaking at the presentation of the Monetary Policy and Financial Stability Statement that gave an update on the country's economic performance and financial state on Thursday, John Rwangonga noted that the automation is on track to complete as previously anticipated.
The automation of the Umurenge SACCO, one is we are able to manage better the transactions of the SACCOs. Today they are done manually on papers, and as you've heard, we've had challenges of malpractices because of the nature of their transactions. And as they are being automated, it's easy to track the transactions happening within the SACCOs. Not just us, the regulators, but even the clients of these SACCOs. They'll be able to assess information on their accounts online. At least you can know the balance on your accounts without having to go to the SACCOs.
While technology in financial services sector continues to advance, there are still instances of illegal financial activities conducted through technology. Governor John Rwangonga once again declared a warning to individuals investing their money in unlicensed businesses such as cryptocurrency and pyramid schemes.
But let me tell the population again that anybody transacting in business to deal with financial assets, you're either licensed by the central bank or by the Capital Markets Authority. Getting a license from RDB, they just go and register as a business entity. But if you are to do any business dealing with financial assets, you have to have a license from the National Bank of Rwanda or from the Capital Markets Authority. So if any doesn't have a license from the two institutions, don't invest.
The Central Bank of Rwanda BNR highlights a remarkable progress made in fintech sector. In the Monetary Policy and Financial Stability Statement, it was revealed that 11 fintech companies were licensed in 2023. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
On Thursday, the Chamber of Deputies approved the draft law governing the University of Rwanda and the draft law governing the Rwanda Polytechnic. The Ministry of Education states that these changes are aimed at improving teaching and quality of education, as well as the well-being of students and teachers in general. Olive Nete with more.
The major changes made in the proposed draft law governing UR are harmonization of the organization and functioning of both UR and RP as public institutions of higher learning, since they are currently not managed in the same way. Secondly, there is enhancing the autonomy of the University of Rwanda, and additionally, UR will be composed of 7 colleges instead of 6, since the College of Agriculture, Animal Science and Veterinary Medicine will be split into 2 colleges, namely the College of Agriculture and Forestry and the College of Veterinary and Animal Medicine. Moreover, 3 colleges will be located in one campus, the Huye campus, and each will be having a principal, and the entire campus will be managed by a resident principal who will be in charge of administration and finance, while other remaining colleges with their respective campuses will each have a principal and deputy principal. The Minister of Education, Twagirayezu Gaspard, points out that granting autonomy to the University of Rwanda aims to improve the management and performance of its higher learning institutions.
Université mu itegeko turi guha board of directors cyangwa se ubuyobozi bw'ikirenga bwa University y'u Rwanda.
We are granting the board of directors the authority to establish policies and guidelines for managing finances, including purchasing necessary services, equipment for research and teaching, as well as personnel management and overall university's administration. We believe this delegation is necessary due to the frequent complexities involved in university operations.
However, in these reforms, the members of parliament expressed concern about the infrastructures that had been built in different areas to help students who are studying in those specific areas, and that these changes may cause problems. Members of parliament requested to consider what should be done in order to maintain these infrastructures. As previously mentioned, the University of Rwanda, as they have informed us, has various branches and schools operating in different locations, each tailored to the specific needs of its department, especially in schools where practical experience is essential. I wonder how such relocation will be managed. There are instances where students may need to relocate to another campus, even though they have facilities such as laboratories at their current location. What will happen in such cases? Additionally, concerning schools involved in this relocation, are there enough schools or accommodations for students?
I have concerns about the infrastructures that have been built in the Nyagatare campus. What will happen to these facilities when the veterinary students begin their studies there? Given that this school typically have fewer students, won't be there vacant space in these already established infrastructures?
On this point, the Minister of Education underscores that the reforms will prioritize enhancing and nurturing both the learning experience and the well-being of students and educators alike.
In these days' reforms, it is no longer possible for a student, for example, in College of Business and Economics, to study across different campuses. Previously, students from CBE were distributed across various campuses, such as Huye, Kigali, Rusizi, and Nyagatare. This practice resulted in lecturers having to move between campuses to deliver lessons to all students, but also causing challenges in effective teaching and resources management.
Regarding the draft of law governing the Rwanda Polytechnic, in this draft, the name will stay Rwanda Polytechnic only, instead of being Rwanda Polytechnic Higher Learning Institution. In this draft also, there will be harmonization of organization and functioning of both UR and RP as public institutions of higher learning, since they are currently not managed in the same way, while they are both public institutions of higher learning. The proposed draft law also allows the RP to operate in its full autonomy, especially in matters regarding powers and responsibilities. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. Rwanda Polytechnic and Kepler College have held their annual conference at IPRC Kicukiro, bringing together graduates, that is university graduates, as well as companies and institutions from across the country. The aim of this program is to help the students who have the necessary projects in common with what the market demands, but are unable to implement them. Cedric Irakoze with the details.
Unemployment in Rwanda is a serious problem, with figures showing that 15% of the country's workforce didn't have a job in 2022. The answer to this question is especially for young people, so a conference has been set up at National University to help graduate students and connect them to the institutions in need of workers in the labor of the market. The Director of Education at Kepler College, Mr. Celestine Hieramihigo, shows the ambitions and dreams they dream in coming years from this exhibition.
We want to see all graduates, not only the Kepler College graduates, all graduates at Rwanda Polytechnic, University of Rwanda, they should all be employed. They should get jobs because that's the main purpose. And when they get jobs, that's where it comes to support their families, to change their lives. So the best expectation, the biggest one we have is we want to see students being successful.
Kanamugiro Olivier, the human resource business partner of Bradirwa, encouraged all companies to join the exhibition and collaboration, especially industries companies.
It's only by working together, it's only by partnering and exchanging information and trying to see how we can support each other. Very simple. I would advise companies really to come and work with a higher learning institution, especially those who are, in industrial, areas or industrial markets.
A graduate of the IPRC, Joshua Gikundilo, highlight all barriers they encounter in process of competing at workplace, and he mentioned that they get a lot of trainings and exhibitions, but they don't get sponsors to support their work.
Just we've had an exhibition and we don't get the sponsors to come and fund that thing. I would wish that we could have the funds coming immediately after a short period of time after these activities, not more to be theoretical but to get into practical.
In this exposition, there has been light of the project among students and lighting activities at various institutions, which allows the student to get to know each other and the differences. This is the gateway to find the professional way to train in these institutions, depending on what each student is learning or is determined to do. 1 million Rwandan francs have been awarded to 2 students who have best project than others. The student who created a map of the IPRC said that they had a lot of dreams and encouraged their peers to think beyond because they are the foundation of Rwanda's future development. Cedric Irakoze, RBA News.
Thank you, Cedric. Now, the Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy, in partnership with the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, has launched the Visual Memories of Rwanda exhibition. The photo exhibition is witnessing life of Rwandans since the colonial period until the beginning of the 1980s, spanning a time period of decades. The photo exhibition shows a time when very few opportunities existed for Rwandans to properly document their way of life the way it is now.
All these photos means, number one, it helps to fill in gaps we have in our national archives. It means preservation and conservation of our documentary heritage. And when our documentary heritage is well preserved, then it serves the purpose to educate our young audience and also to transmit or to pass on the cultural heritage to the next generation. So this is a very important project which really matters for our institutions. And at the same time, it opens up, it gives us access also to other heritage we don't have yet on our grasp, which means we have many audiovisual heritage preserved in the European countries. So that's why we are now in contact with those countries to have access to what they have.
Now, as Ambassador Masozera just noted, the exhibition is being seen as an opportunity to showcase a rich and powerful past to current generations, as well as preserve it for future ones. This sentiment is shared by partners as well.
We are convinced that arts and culture are the pillars on which the identity and the diversity of our world rests. It is the mirror of our values, our traditions, and our collective aspiration. It is through art and culture that we express our creativity, share our stories, and forge the bond.
Now, visitors to the exhibition have marveled at the way that it has brought to life a time long gone and taught them what few other sources can.
Because when you come, you learn, you go to see what happened after the genocide, but come here and to see this picture, what was the life before the genocide. And it's so beautiful, no? And to see how much it's going to help to the country, to the kids and other people like us, to come here and go and see what was the country before, how was the people, no? And this picture is showing us the life before. And later I went to see the video, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Touched my heart. I think it's the way to teach, that they teach you that was something before. It's your culture, it's your identity, no? And that is so important, because when you catch something and you make that things part of your life, no, teach you a lot.
The Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy says up to 3,000 such photos have been collected and are in storage to be progressively displayed to the public through other future exhibitions. Those in storage here in Rwanda, however, are few compared to those abroad, most of them in Europe. As always, it's a pleasure when you're able to join us. I'll see you again for the next edition. Goodbye for now.